I talked about this in another video where I was talking about The Flash, and I think I may have even mentioned the last Wonder Woman movie in one of my videos as well. And I have to say that one thing that absolutely shocked me more than almost anything is the fact that any superhero movie lost any money at all. At all. Right here, Wonder Woman from, this was Wonder Woman 1984. I want to say, yeah, that's the one. Wonder Woman 1984. The budget on that movie was $200 million. The box office was $170 million. That means they lost $30 million. Now, The Flash, they lost even more, but that was at the time. That was the recorded number. So between that day and now, it has gained a little bit. It's much better than what it was. It's getting a little better, but it's still below the budget a little bit. Right now, the numbers that I see for The Flash are the budget is $220 million. The box office is about $211 million. So they were down $80 million, and now they're down by only $9 million. I estimate that if they get lucky enough, they might get close to, they'll get somewhere between 250 to 300 million, give or take. And I've been asking people about this, and a number of people have said this. And also, when I was at Astronomicon, I actually met and spoke with actor and director Kevin Smith, and he explained this in a good way. And I mean, once he explained it, I mean, I knew it was essentially confirmed. There's this thing called superhero fatigue. And I thought to myself, what? So you mean to tell me that people have a fatigue about something that is not about horror films? I mean, there was a horror fatigue for a long time, and that's why they didn't do Jason, Freddy, and other movies like that for a long time. So what does fatigue mean? What's the definition of that? Extreme tiredness resulting from mental or physical exertion or illness, exhaustion, drowsiness, weariness. Now, what is superhero fatigue? According to The Things, that's the name of the website, The Things. First time I've heard of it. I don't know how long it's been around, but that's just what it's called. It says, now, in the beginning, the concept of superhero fatigue was rather more straightforward. As a result of several superhero movies being released around the same time, viewers are getting bombarded by superheroes nonstop, and at some point, it is believed that audiences would just grow tired of it. And in that website, there's an article called, "Is the superhero fatigue to blame for The Flash being a box office flop?" I don't know. Let's go into it. Amidst this supposed wave of superhero fatigue, however, the MCU's Spider-Man No Way Home ruled the box office and became the most successful Spider-Man movie of all time, hauling over $1.9 billion during its box office run. Okay, I didn't know that. That's actually interesting. Not to mention Marvel Studios' Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and Black Panther Wakanda Forever also scored big, which perhaps forced everyone to rethink the concept of superhero fatigue just a bit more. In recent months, it's become clear that superhero fatigue affects movies that have on-screen shortcomings in one form or another. In this case, highly criticized films such as DC Studios' Shazam! Fury of the Gods and Marvel Studios' Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, both disappointed at the box office and received terrible reviews. In the case of The Flash, though, experts have noted that the reason for its underperformance is a bit more complicated to identify. Why didn't The Flash do well at the box office? Well, before I go into that, let me check the numbers for Shazam and Ant-Man. And those were both, okay, so Marvel, this was, let's go to the date here, 2023, Ant-Man Wasp Quantum. The budget on that movie was $200 million. The box office was $476 million. Okay, pretty all right for them. For a movie like that, you would expect a little bit more, for sure, no less than $700 million, because that's just the standard for any superhero movie, whether it be Marvel or DC or anything else. You're talking Superman, Batman, Iron Man, Hulk, Avengers, Thor, any of them, Wonder Woman. That's just generally what you would think. That's just, now, the other movie that they mentioned was Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Let's go to that. DC, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. The budget on the movie was $125 million. The box office was only almost $135 million. So they only gained $10 million off of that. So apparently they did much worse than the other movie did. So, and I'll check the reviews later. Why didn't The Flash do well at the box office? The Flash's failure may have something to do with all the unique circumstances surrounding the movie from the start. For starters, it's hard to forget that Ezra Miller, who played the main character in there, got into a lot of negative press in the lead up to the film's release. And while the actor eventually made a public admission, critics have noted that perhaps fans weren't as forgiving as the studio had hoped. So, because of his legal troubles, they choose not to watch his movies, but for some reason we have somebody who's running for president who could or could not go to prison, and people will still vote for that guy. Okay. Perfectly logical. It's okay. It's okay. Yep, one person has legal troubles, and we're not going to watch their movies. The other person has more legal troubles, but we'll put him in the White House. Okay. All right. Okay. So, where was I at? Here we go. On the other hand, it's also possible viewers weren't as excited to see Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton in the film with Ezra Miller as everyone hoped, especially since Affleck has made it clear he's not coming back after this, and Keaton's involvement appears to be a one-time thing. With all these laid out, there's just a matter of superhero fatigue and how much of it has really affected the movie. In a scenario where superhero fatigue affects movies with subpar quality, whether it be the storyline, the script, or the character itself, critics are not exactly surprised that The Flash isn't drawing in moviegoers. With a 66% score on Rotten Tomatoes, it is certainly not the worst film in the DC universe, but it's far from being considered critically acclaimed either. Now, for as bad as everybody makes this movie out to be, I'm surprised that Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 66%, because that's good for them, in a way. Rotten Tomatoes is usually tough. If you have a movie or a show or a game, for that matter, that generally so many people like, and at least half or majority of the public really loves it, you have like Metacritic and IGN and TV Guide and a lot of these other sources that'll give it scores of 80, 90, some of it even close to 100%. Rotten Tomatoes would give it about a 70. If something is half good and the other sources give it somewhere between 60, 70, Rotten Tomatoes will give it like a 30 or 40. Rotten Tomatoes is tough. They're just very tough. For some reason, I don't know who works there. I don't know who the owner of Rotten Tomatoes is. I don't know who their CEO is or who. I don't know. I don't work for them, and I don't work behind them. I have no connection to them whatsoever. But all I can tell you is I'm just making the subjective conclusion that based on the scores they've given to shows and movies that I've watched, I mean, some of it is rightfully so, and others, to me, it's not rightfully so. They're just really tough. That's just how they are. They're tough. Everybody's saying that The Flash, and they're down $9 million, and they gave it a 66%. You would have thought they'd gave it a 26%, maybe 36% at most, maybe. But they gave it 66. So, I mean, again, I can't figure that out. That's strange to me, but I just find that to be entertaining. As Corey Woodruff of USA Today points out, what's happening to The Flash shows that audiences won't just turn out for any movie featuring a superhero these days. Owen Gleiberman from the industry publication Variety pointed out the film was hyped at CinemaCon as some sort of a genre masterpiece, only to be met with a collective shrug from critics and audiences. Other major entertainment publications have offered similar opinions, and while some may see this as harsh, nothing can prepare anyone for what some of the film's viewers have said of The Flash afterward. The Flash viewers also claim that The Flash has several problems. It is certainly not easy to create a film that everyone would embrace. In some ways, The Flash was never going to be a hit to everyone, not after the Miller controversy and to some extent everything else that DC Studios has been through lately. I don't necessarily know some of those details. That person looks familiar. That's a side ad. Sorry. But perhaps if there was anyone who would truly love The Flash, it would be the fans who rushed to the theaters as soon as the movie premiered. As it turns out, however, that wasn't exactly the case. In a Reddit thread dedicated to the movie, One user claimed that The Flash is an average movie at best. Another admitted that it's not perfect but enjoyable at the very least. On the other hand, some wouldn't recommend the film at all, with one Redditor claiming that there is no growth, which is likely referring to The Flash's character development as a superhero. Another wrote the film had so much wasted potential and it seemed tired even as it introduced the concept to the multiverse, to the DCU. I don't know. That's a really tough one. So in a way, I mean, is it to blame for it? In a way, you can kind of say it. And nowadays, they're almost with the other genres. Not everybody's going to turn out for a comedy movie just because it's a comedy. Same with horror, same with drama, same with romance or whatever else you want to put out there. Suspense, thriller, mystery. And it looks like the superhero category is sliding down that pipe slowly but surely. Now, let's be fair. On average, or I would say even more than average, above average, we all know that for the most part, the worst superhero movie is still going to gross way more money, or at least a little bit more money than the best horror movie. The best horror movie is probably going to get 200 to 250 million at best. And the worst action movie if you take away The Flash and Wonder Woman and some of the others I read on that list, some of the ones that would underperform would probably do at least 300 million. So, I mean, the numbers are close, but it still kind of leads in a slight edge, not a landslide. According to Variety magazine, this says, superhero fatigue is real. The cure? Here's the cure. Make better movies than The Flash. Ouch. That kind of stings right there. That hurts. Wow. Superhero fatigue is a phrase that tends to make devoted movie lovers swoon with rapture. If you're someone who cares about movies, who cares about cinema, the very prospect of superhero fatigue inspires you to think, yes, there's hope. People will get tired of this crap. That's literally what that says. So, but people are tired of everything else. People got tired of a lot of comedy movies because they were becoming less and less funny. People got tired of horror films because they were repetitive. Oh, the girls always trip in the horror films and they always get killed. People are partying and drinking and smoking and messing around in the tent. People got tired of that. So people are just getting tired of everything now. So what is there to watch? That's just my question. So people who are just getting tired of everything, you might as well just not watch anything. Now, again, to be fair, I've said this before, and I do want to make this clear. And let's not pay attention to my shirt. Let's not pay attention to that. It's just a shirt. It had a good design and I like it. I wear it to some of the events. I'm not a hardcore superhero fan. Now, I like some superhero movies, and a number of them are pretty good. There's a number of them that are pretty good. Avengers, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, pretty decent. I mean, there's a number of good ones out there. But, again, I can't even think of how to word this, because some of this is legit and some of it is not. I'm not saying that The Flash is the very best thing out there. But at the same time, I don't know if I want to say it's the very worst thing out there either. And I've talked to plenty of people who understand these concepts and these things way better than I do. And I just thought that on average, a superhero movie, whether it be Marvel or DC or anything else, on average, they would budget somewhere between $200 and $300 million. Some of them even close to 400. I think the Avengers Endgame, their budget was about $400 million, give or take. Let me double check that. That movie came out in 2019. Where's 2019 at? Avengers Endgame. Yep, $400 million. And of course, they grossed $2.8 billion. So yeah. But even the hardcore superhero fans are saying like, oh, we're getting tired of this mess. Well, then I don't understand that. And maybe I'm just different. A lot of people are different. But a lot of the horror films that I watch, as long as they keep making them, certain ones, not all of them are good, but the ones I always talk about, the Scream and all that, I'm going to see that. I feel I'm going to see that for life. I feel. I could be wrong. I could outgrow it. But as of right now, I'll know that I'll be seeing Scream 50. I'll be in my 90s in a wheelchair. Okay, I'm kind of digressing. But I'm just having a little bit of fun with it. I just find this to be a little bit entertaining. It's not all that important to me. At the end of the day, people are going to go watch what they want to watch, and they're going to not watch what they want to not watch. So Marvel and DC, I'm sure they're doing just fine. Let me see how much money the DC universe has grossed so far. DC animated development. The DCEU is the 9th highest grossing film franchise of all time, having grossed over $6.5 billion at the global box office. Its highest grossing film, Aquaman, earned over $1.1 billion worldwide. It became the highest grossing DC Comics-based film to date. Reception to the franchise has generally been mixed amongst critics and fans. And Marvel Universe, with all 32 of their films, their budget has been close to $7 billion, and their box office, their global box office, is almost $30 billion. So you know what? Even if they have a few poor movies, they're doing just fine. They're not losing that much. Let's be real. They're not losing that much. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I'm not even really providing much of a message to this video. I just wanted to talk about it just because. But you know what? I say at the end of the day, they're going to have a few movies that... And actually, you know what? Now that I say that, there is one more thing I wanted to bring up. I almost forgot. They said that there were a lot of movies that were released at a time. Well, I'm looking at... Let's go to Marvel Universe. You had 2 movies released in 2008, Iron Man and Hulk. Iron Man 2, 2010. 2011 to 2012, you had 3 movies between Thor, Captain America, Avengers. Then you had Phase 2. 2013 to 2015, you got 6 movies released right here. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, Ant-Man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You had 3 movies released in 2017. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor, Ragnarok. I hope I said that right. I've only seen the title. When people talked about that movie, they only said Thor, so I might have just messed up there, but it's okay. Just don't hurt me, don't kill me. You had 3 movies in 2018. Black Panther, good. Avengers Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Avengers was good. I did not see the Ant-Man, actually. And then you had 3 movies in 2019. Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home. And that was with Tom Holland. The budget was $160 million. The box office was $1.1 billion. Amazing. So there's been other years and other times where they did release different movies at once and multiple, and that didn't stop people from paying to go see it. Now, granted, when I was at the convention, I did hear, so one person that I was talking to, she said that during the time when they had released some movies in 2020, 21, and early 2022, some people were still afraid to go to the theaters because COVID was going on, and that had something to do with it. I can understand that to a degree. But like I said, I think that both of them will be fine overall. DC and Marvel will be just fine. I think that did have something to do with it, but a lot of people still went to go pay to go see it because some people just need that theatrical experience when they go see this stuff. They need to hear that bass, that vibrations in the theaters that you won't get on an average TV or on your computer or on your phone. You have to be in the theaters for some of this stuff. That's just the mindset of the hardcore superhero fans. Me, I could do one way or the other. I could see it in theaters, and if I miss it, I'll watch it on Disney Plus because that's where it goes. Some of the other DC stuff goes on to either HBO Max or Peacock or Paramount Plus or whatever. But ultimately, you still get to watch it. So that's what it is, folks. So that's what superhero fatigue is. I did not hear of that phrase until this year, until The Flash came out. And I saw it. I thought it was all right. I'll give it maybe about a 6, possibly a 7 at most. So 6 or 7. But I just say, hey, if you're into that type of stuff, go see it. And I'll definitely keep you informed about the conventions that deal with it, the conventions. So other than that, that's all I want to say about that. So either watch the movies or don't. At the end of the day, it's really just your choice.